Welcome to this lecture on data types, Boolean and characters. Boolean data is used for anywhere where conditions are required. You might use it in if conditions, loops, and many places. Where there is a true-false requirement, you go for this. In the heap, Boolean is always stored with a default value of false. At the end of this video, you should be able to explain the features of Boolean data types as well as Unicode. And there is a tool called native to ASCII. Now you should be familiar with this at the end of this video. Boolean is a data type. You create variables, but only to store true or false. Now in languages like C and C++, there is no Boolean. You take a number, and if it's 0, it's considered as false. If it's not 0, it's considered as true. If you try to use the same thing in Java, that's going to fail. So you have to use Boolean. Now use this data type where true-false conditions need to be tracked down. The data type represents one single bit in the memory. Now all relational operations result in Boolean. What do you mean by that? Imagine you are trying to compare two variables with less than, greater than, equals to, or you're trying to combine all of these into one expression. They all are going to give you either true or false. If you're trying to print a Boolean variable, or if you're trying to assign that to a string, you're trying to add to a string, the literals true or false, they're going to be used. Now in the heap, a Boolean variable has a default value of false. Characters, on the other hand, they take 2 bytes. If you are coming from C and C++, you might be wondering why 2 bytes, because there you see 1 byte of data is enough. There are hardly 26 alphabets, uppercase, lowercase. Put all of them together, you will have 255 variants of characters. But when Java came, they thought about internationalization, where I can store languages of different countries, and you can store different symbols that are not part of the original ASCII set. Now all of them can be stored in that. So you need a bigger space because 255 is already taken by ASCII. Now Unicode is the way to represent that. It's a standard for consistent encoding, representation, and handling of text expressed in most of the world's writing systems. For example, here is a text that is written in Kannada language. Now this converted into Unicode is a series of zeros and ones, but in hexadecimal format you can also say /u and something. Now the same thing can also be represented in different language. For example, in Chinese, this is how my name sounds like, or my name looks like. Now the Unicode will be different and smaller, but all of them are Unicode. Now to store exact same number of characters are good enough. So in order to convert a native language code into the ASCII or Unicode, you need to use this tool which is available in JDK. So when you install JDK, you will have a bin directory where all the tools are located. One of the tools is this native to ASCII. Now all you have to do is to use this along with a file containing the native language such as Kannada or Chinese, and then the output of that can be stored into a different file. Now here is an example of a native language like Chinese, and there is some text in that, and you have to issue this command where you are saying that the encoding is UTF-8, the source file is vinod.txt, and the output file to be converted or created is vinodch.txt. And at the end of this command, you have this new file. So this is how you create a Unicode file from a native file. Now let's summarize what we have seen so far. We understood how Boolean works, what kind of values can be stored in Boolean, what kind of data is stored by default in the heap when you don't store anything in that. Now how do you convert a native file into a Unicode file? Now this is done with the help of native to ASCII.